Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this. It'll be an amazing presentation. The headline for our video presentation is Trifecta on House Hacking. Wow, this is amazing. I do not believe anyone else out there in the housing market are presenting what we are about to present. This is a game changer for many folks. Without further ado, my name is Seewing Yee from the University Network, and my co-host is Mr. Richard Advani, who is an investment loan broker who does financing on all 50 states. We can talk about trifecta of house hacking. All right, so here we go. What I mean by trifecta, there are three ways a primary home buyer can house hack. There are three types of loan products. Now, for those of you, there are 0% down VA loans. You can buy 1 to 4 units, single family home, duplex, triplex, and four-plex to live in one of the units. If you happen to be an active military or a military veterans, like I am, I have done a number of VA loans over the years, and I've house hacked as well. Anyway, are you lucky enough? Amazing loan program. And then the second scenario is FHA, Federal Housing Administration, 3.5% down payment on owner-occupied buyer. You can buy, once again, similar situation, 1 to 4 units. And then finally, this loan program just came about this past November in 2023, November the 18th, whereby as a primary home buyer, you could put 5% down. I think without mortgage insurance, I'm sure you have to verify that with me. 5% down as a primary home buyer, you put 5% down payment as an owner-occupied 1 to 4 unit, whereby you live in one of the unit and rent out the other units. That's your wish. All three loan programs do not have to be a first-time home buyer. However, the most important criteria is you must be an owner-occupied primary home buyer to do this kind of this trifecta of house hacking, if you will. All right, it is available. All these are federal loan programs available in all 50 states. There are loan limits, which you can go through the loan limits based on what location in the U.S. There are loan limits restrictions with VA, FHA, and 5% Fannie Mae loans. Even how repeat the process every 1+ years, you become a serial house hacker, if you will. Amazing growth. And then again, each time your house hack, each time you buy a primary home using all these strategies, you must reestablish your primary residence on each house hack, which you will go over. Then when you're ready to move on, after you physically occupy a particular home, which you house hack, that you are about to leave to house hack another home at another location in a neighborhood or another location somewhere else in the US, do not sell your previous house. You rent it out long-term, okay? You stack long-term rented out. It's ideal for digital nomads or permanent remote work. Before going further, can you recap on the first 2-slide presentation, Richard, about the house hacking?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, those that have provided military service are going to get the best overall financing terms with their zero down. And I personally, over the last 16, 18 years, have assisted many veterans that have taken advantage of this program, especially because, look, I know it's a downside, obviously, having orders change and having to move potentially every 3 to 4 years. However, the smart military personnel use that as an avenue to build a real estate portfolio. Now, you can obviously only get a certain number of VA loans. It's a fallacy that it's one. You can get more than one if you have entitlement remaining. But even if you utilize your FHA, your VA loans, and let's say you get orders to move again, you can still use primary home financing at 3% down or 5% down to purchase another primary home. And of course, you keep running out the homes as you go. Now, the house hack within the house hack is buying a multi-unit with the primary home financing, right? It's a double house hack because especially if you're a veteran, because you're buying now these multi-units at low to no down. And then even once you're done with your entitlement, you're buying them at 5% down with this new program. So, and keep in mind, primary homes were, for a 4-year, we're at 25% down, which how many primary homeowners have 25% down? And if they did, they're probably not trying to buy a 4-unit to live in a unit, right? They're probably, the smart ones are, but most of them have accumulated that much money are probably trying to buy a nice, pretty house somewhere. Okay. But the smart way to do it, of course, is to now to utilize just 5% down is huge. So it opens these up to a huge new buying population of people, the smart ones that are going to go in the house hack. And then the other thing it does too is it also increases the amount that you qualify for, right? Many of us are in very high dollar markets where the average price of a house is 600,000-700,000. And if you make $100,000 a year, guess what? You're not even close to qualifying. So what are you going to do? Sit on the sidelines? Or you could look at a 4-unit to where you rent out the other 3 units. We're using that income to qualify you. Now, all of a sudden you qualify for something that's 1.2 with the additional income, right? And if that still doesn't work out, then of course, go buy some out-of-state investment properties and rent where you are. But there's a lot of directions you can take before you wave that white flag.
Absolutely. So let's go over, I know, let me see what else. Yeah, in terms of loan limits, I know, depends on what location. In California, it's a high cost area. You may and may not, on the top of your head, Richard, I know you do VA loans. I know you do FHA loans. I know you do conventional loans for owner-occupied and investors alike. So, Richard, if anybody who's an expert in the loan strategies, in respect to what we're talking about, you are, because you've been doing it for decades, you and your team. Anyway, you don't have to answer this quickly. You may not know the true numbers, but are on the VA loan limits. I believe there are no loan limits as long as you have the income to qualify for whatever prices you're buying. But that the VA, the FHA, I think there's a limit of $1 million for four-plex for a house hack for 3.5% FHA. And then for 5% Fannie Mae loans for primary house buyers, I think for four-plex is 1.3 million cap loan limit. And for triplex, like 1 million. And for duplex, I think like $800,000. Am I in a ballpark there?
You're in the ballpark. A lot of it depends on what market you're in, because they have adjustments for each market in terms of higher or lower than that. But that's a good, you're in the ballpark. I'd say those are good general terms to go by.
Okay, very good. Okay, let's go over the numbers. Okay, obviously, wherever you look at, whoever watching right now our presentation, any of the 50 states, you have the house hack in the right areas. Look, it's easy for you and I, Richard and I, we've been doing it for investment real estate for a long time, but for those newbies out there who may not even own a home to begin with, or you already own a home or even own a rental property, you have to get educated. You have to know how to house hack in the right areas. You have to run the numbers. We have to look at the capitalization rate, cash and cash return, rent to value ratio, total ROI, all the numerical formulas, which you may not understand what it is. So get informed, get educated, or hire a coach or mentor like myself to assist you wherever you're located in the country. At the end of the day, be strategic. Do not buy a high price home when your house hack, because if your house costs too much and the rent are not going to cover the house, when you leave the area, when your house hack another unit, you can't cash flow. So do not buy a high price home where you cannot cash flow when you move on to your next house hack. All right, the next slide, I'm going to go over Fannie Mae lending, the 5% down, which I'm not going to go over too much of it. I already mentioned this. Now you can qualify for 5% down Fannie Mae with the loan limit I just discussed. 2 to 4 units nationwide, many price points. Let's do a deeper dive, Richard. I have created a scenario where if you happen to live in the western region of the US, or if you were about to move there somewhere in the western region, the west of the Mississippi, here are the typical scenario when you run the numbers. Okay, I know this is just a high level. Okay, the numbers could be off a little bit, but I'm trying to prove a point. This is a general guideline. So if you were to buy a four-plex somewhere in the Mr. region at the home price of 1 million, if you collect rent on the other 3 units, total of $5,200 gross rent, and you put 3.5% down FHA, 5% down Fannie Mae, as long as primary home buyer, or 0% down VA loan, here are the typical numbers. Okay. Now, when you buy a high price home, Richard, I'm sure you and I agree, is realistic. You can't expect the three renter can pay down all your mortgages. No, they will pay down a lot of your monthly mortgage payment, but not all. You still have to assume the payment at the end of the day, but still a great situation, right? Because if your mortgage payment is over 6,000, if your three doors are paying you 6,200, so our packet for you is only $2,600. So Richard, when you underwrite a loan like this, given these numbers, you still have to pay this amount. You can pay this amount as a primary home buyer and buy a single family home for $300,000. But however, you can buy a $1 million four-plex and still have the same mortgage payment because the lender, Richard, you can use the three doors rent or the other doors on the other units to help you qualify. So tell me, go through the scenario, go through the DTI, debt to income ratio, go through why these numbers make sense to house hack. And even if the three units cannot pay off most of your mortgages, go through the process.
Absolutely. The big thing to keep in mind here, as you alluded to, is in a scenario where you are working with a limited income, this would allow you to qualify for way more than what you would qualify for without the additional rental income. And as you said, look, at the end of the day, you're still going to have to come out of pocket, right? Even if you're occupying one and renting the other three. However, the amount you're going to come out of pocket is going to be generally probably a third of what you would have had to pay on, say, a single family home. And you got to keep in mind these days, let's assume you had no debt, right? Zero debt on your credit report and you're trying to buy a home. And let's say, for example, you made $100,000 a year. Okay. At $100,000 a year, you're looking at about $8,400 a month. Now, we can typically go up to a 50% debt to income ratio, right? Which based on $100,000 a year, about $8,300 a month, you're talking about, let's say, $4,100 for your total allowable debt. Okay. Now, with where mortgage rates are today, not including taxes and insurance, just on, say, a $450,000 property, you're looking at a principal and interest payment of around $2,800, $2,850. Okay. And you're going to add property taxes onto that, and you're going to add insurance onto that. So in all reality, looking at a property that's maybe 500, 520, 550, is going to be close to the cap of what you would qualify for, being $100,000, someone who earns $100,000 a year. Now, alternatively, in this example here, the gross rent is roughly $5,250 a month, right? Now, you're going to occupy one of those units, right? So from three of those units, you're looking at roughly $3,400, I think, a month in rent. Is that right? Seewing, do you know the individual? You said that's a quadplex, right?
Yes. So yeah, that's like
So about $1,250 a month per unit, give or take.
more than that. I think it was 1,600, around $1,600 per unit, per door, per unit gross rent.
Oh, so this $5,250 is for 3 units?
Yeah, 3 units.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. So here's an even better example, right? So now you're that $100,000 wage earner, you're getting $5,250 a month in positive rental income, right? As a lender, we're going to take 75% of that for qualification purposes. Okay. Doesn't change the fact you're actually getting $5,250 in your pocket. But at 75% of that gross rent that you will be receiving, that's additional $4,000 a month in rental income. Now, keep in mind, we talked about your income at $100K being about $8,300 a month, right? So we're adding $4,000 to that $8,300 a month, right? Another 50%. So now for qualification purposes, your actual income that we're going to qualify you on is about $12,000 a month, right? The $8,300 plus the roughly $4,000 in net calculated rental income. And as you can imagine, the amount you qualify for now goes up dramatically as well, right? So you're going from being limited to, say, a $550,000 property to being able to buy something close to $1 million using that additional rental income. And I think a lot of people fall in this bucket, right? They make 100, 120, 150, but they live in a metro market where to buy a house, it's $1 million plus and they don't qualify for 1.2. And as opposed to sitting on the sidelines, using this program to house hack, buy a multi-unit, that all of a sudden now you can buy something that's in the low to mid 1 millions. It's a game changer, really. Then changing to this 5% down I don't think is getting enough attention out there for what it really does to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, Richard, let me add to that, to your point. It's amazing, right? As a primary home buyer, I mean, this trifecta house hacking is just a game changer. Most people in the country are not even aware of what we're talking about, Richard. So we provide value on our experience and our video contents. But a regular four-plex, let's say $1 million four-plex, if you normally only an investor are buying this type of property, and the minimal down to buy an investment home, a four-plex in this scenario, $1 million four-plex, you have to put down 25% down payment, which is 25% multiplied by 1 million. Normally, as an investor buying a fourplex, not house hacking, not doing the thing we talked about, we're talking $250,000 down payment, not including closing costs and other costs. We're talking about $250,000 cash out of pocket. Now, think about the scenario. I want you to digest this for a moment. How many people, Richard, out there have $250,000 in cash to buy an investment home, typically, traditionally, to buy this fourplex, or even a duplex or triplex with a lesser amount? Just do the math, right? This is the not only a game changer, this is historic. This is information you provide to people out there watching our video, which is mind-boggling. So, yeah, and so let's go on. Let's go on. Okay. If you live somewhere in a lower cost area, I'm going through another scenario on house hacking. If you live in the South and Southeast, if you currently reside there, you have a job there, whatever, and you want a house hack, I'm going to give you another pro forma cash flow analysis. Now, again, if you have the ability to move to one location to another, you're digital nomad, or you will do a remote work you can do anywhere in the country, hey, why not go to South and Southeast to house hack a cheaper home, much cheaper home, and I'll show you a scenario. A typical fourplex in the South and Southeast could be Florida, could be Texas, could be anywhere in South and Southeast, Georgia, Alabama, whatever. And a scenario we're running is $500,000 and for fourplex. We're not going to go over the numbers. We gave you the blueprint on a previous example, but the 3 gross rent on a 3-unit, $1,200 gross rent times 3, 4,600. And then you do a 5% down Fannie Mae or 3.5% down FHA or 0% down VA loan. At the end of the day, your 3 renters can pay most of your mortgages and debt payment. The only thing out of pocket for you is a negative $800. This is your check you have to write to the mortgage payment because your renter is to pay most of your debts for a long time to come. Quickly go over this scenario. Don't have to repeat anything. Go ahead. What are the advantages?
Yeah, it's just, as you guys see, as we go out of state, obviously the likelihood of covering more and more of your mortgage payment through the additional rents is increased, right? And this was a solid example, right? It's not, at this point, set aside the house hacking, set aside the real estate acquisition, set aside all of that, right? Here's a way to buy a house, or here's a way to live in a house where you spend $800 a month only. You can't even get a studio probably in that same town for $800 a month, right? And here's a way for you to live for under $800 a month for housing expense, let alone all of the other side benefits that he covered, right? You want to talk about house hacking? That's house hacking. And I know as we move on, as he's going to progress, he's probably going to show you some markets where you can almost live for free. Talk about house hacking. And that's a great YouTube video, right? What if there's a way that I could show you how to live for free on a house? But yeah, I know that's coming.
Yeah, that's coming right now, Richard. So let's segue. Now, a lot of you live in the Midwest, right? Or you physically live there and you grew up there, whatever, you have a job there. Or some of you decide to, hey, I'm going to do house hacking at different locations. I'm going to move to the Midwest and let me show you a house hacking fourplex in the Midwest. I know we talked about Buffalo and Niagara Falls, which is something the investment market that I promote, but it could be anywhere in the Midwest. Could be Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, Tennessee, Ohio, whatever. But look at this real scenario. A fourplex in the Midwest, you can house hack for a measly $173,000. That's right. It's not a misprint. This is a real scenario. You can do it. So therefore, if you put 5% down, 3.5, 0% down, here the bottom line is your 3 units, your three renter can pay you like $600 per $700 almost per month's gross rent. And at the end of the day, guess what? Your 3 renter gonna pay all your mortgage debts, taxes, insurance, everything else, and you still pocket $547 monthly positive cash flow, even though you physically live in one of those units. That's required no further explanation. But Richard, you have any one quick comment on house hacking a four-plex in the Midwest area?
No, it looks like as you move Midwest and East, as we said, you're going to get to properties that you could almost live for free. And that is a completely realistic scenario. I've actually been to Salamanca myself. But yeah, there's great opportunities there.
Okay, now I know. Let's go through some challenges. Let me see what's my. Let me see what's my next slideshow. We're almost done. All right. So now, okay, rental property. Okay, look, we're asking a potential house hacker to not only own not only buy a home to live in as a principal home. We're asking someone to be a investor, which is not easy. Oftentimes, a lot of people are not willing to do that. Not a lot of people are not willing to, don't know how to be a landlord, don't know how to become a primary homeowner even, right? So on this presentation, which we show people on paper, theoretically speaking, what someone can do. A lot of people just can't do whatever. They're not good at buying houses to live or to invest. Even if you have a property manager that can help you, which is, I highly recommend that. But it's very overwhelming. Most people can't do it, but you find the right team, you find the right mentor, right coach like myself. I can walk you through, regardless of where you live. I help people with coaching and mentoring all over the US, even though I physically live in California, and so is Richard. So Richard, now, when you, as a loan agent, when you underwrite somebody who want a house hack as a lender, what do you look for? You have to show that you're legitimately or living there. You have to show what kind of supporting documentation. One have to show the intent they're actually going to live when they're given for at least 1 year and so forth. What kind of documents you need?
You don't generally need any specific documents. It just needs to make sense, right? If you're working a W-2 job and you're trying to buy, say you're going to move to a property in Texas, we're going to want to see where you're going to work in Texas, right? Are you going to work from home? Are you going to get job orders? But in general, if you're just buying a home using house hacking in your general area or somewhere that makes sense, near where you work, near where you live, even if it's 50, 60 miles away, that's fine, right? There's nothing you need to provide. It's when things don't smell right or things are a little weird, then you may need to provide proof, right? Because the underwriter may not believe it. For example, once again, if you live in California and you say, well, I'm going to go buy a property in Salamanca, it's going to be my primary home. Like, wow, okay, you're going to move across the country. Where's your income going to come from? And so you're going to prove that you're not committing fraud for occupancy and you actually are going to move into the property. So that's only in the outside the box scenarios. Once again, if you're truly using this to buy a home to live in and it's near where you live, no additional documentation needed. If you are truly, though, going to move out of state to move into one of these homes and get a better quality of life versus living on one of the coasts, you can do that. But I would assume you're probably going to have your job lined up first before you would buy a house and move. So in that case, all we would need is that offer letter showing that, hey, this person truly is moving to the Midwest. And here's their offer letter, and that's where their income's going to come from. And yeah, generally won't pose an issue.
Or if someone have the ability to work remotely, regardless of where they live, to underwrite something like this. Like, for example, someone who currently live in California, but you can do a remote work that you want to go to Texas and house hack a four-plex, a duplex, or triplex. As part of the documentation, you as a lender may ask the homeowner to show proof to the employer that you can work remotely wherever you want. So therefore, that will suffice, right?
Correct.
Okay, so house hacking from one area to another. Okay, we are almost concluding this. Now, let's say you have to live at a house for at least 1 year before you can do serial house hacking to another house. As I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, to house hack a second property after you physically occupy the first house for at least a year, although that's not an official guideline, that's a kind of a common scenario. So to house hack another unit, I think, as I understand, you will have to upgrade to another house. You can house hack the initial fourplex, then the next house hack you can do legitimately a year later, a duplex or smaller unit. That's not you may not do well with the lenders. Yeah, the house hack a higher up upgrade from duplex to a triplex, higher price point, or even a fourplex at $1 million initial fourplex. Then your second house hack or fourplex could be 1.3 million, live a higher amount, more square footage, more living space, those kind of things. Am I right in this scenario?
Correct. Yeah, it needs to make sense why you're moving. People who successfully use it, generally you buy a quad and then you buy a condo, then you buy a small single family, then you buy a bigger single family, and then you buy the biggest single family. So you move up in progression to where it'll make sense to an underwriter that, hey, he was in a 4 unit, now he wants his own space, right? And she moved to a small single family home. It won't work the opposite way though, right? You can buy a big 4,000 square foot home and then in the future say, hey, I want to move into a unit of a fourplex, right? That's not going to make sense to an underwriter. So you got to be strategic when you buy.
So Richard, thank you. So as we conclude this presentation, thank you for your time. So you as a lender, you are not only do investment loans for investors in all 50 states, but you have done VA loans over the years. You and your staff, you have done 0% VA, 3.5% down, 4% down FHA, and then the new 5% down Fannie Mae down payment owner occupied investment loan program, 2 to 4 units. Any last thought recap about, based on your experience, what are some of the challenges people still face of doing this? It's easy for us to talk about it on paper, on video, but there's much more to it than that. What kind of takeaway you would like to impart to people that are listening to our video?
I think the hardest thing is going to be finding properties, right? Finding inventory. And the good news is this program hasn't really been hit mainstream yet. The changes to the 5% down, but it's going to very soon. So I would get out there and try to find some multi-units if you don't own a primary home. Like it's a huge opportunity to be able to start or grow your real estate portfolio with, where else can you buy $1 million property for 5% down, 50 grand down to $1 million plus piece of real estate is pretty incredible. Once again, if you don't own a primary home, if you have kids that have jobs, been working there for a while, make a decent amount of money, but not enough to really buy anything, do what a lot of the boomers are doing. Gift them a 50 or 100 grand down so they could go buy a multi-unit and start growing their portfolio, right? And then maybe you got a 30-year-old at home and it's a good way to move them out too.
Wow, this is amazing, Richard. You absolutely right. The leverage in the next 5 to 10 years, if someone can house hack at least one property, you can do it. You can become a serial house hacker. If you're really motivated, if you really want to set an exam badly, over time, you own a fourplex, a triplex, a duplex in the next 10 years, you're going to own 40, 50, 100 doors. And all with 0% down VA, 3.5% down FHA. You can do this kind of loan program and 5% down Fannie Mae. You can do this kind of loan program over and over again. You do not need to become a primary homeowner. You do not need to be a first-time home buyer, by the way. There's a lot of misconception, Richard, whereby you must be a first-time home buyer before you can buy VA loan. You can own rental property initially in the past, and you can still come back to become a primary homeowner and house hack a duplex, triplex, and fourplex, and do it all over again for years to come. Then in the future, once your multi-unit portfolio increase and you scale this portfolio in the next 5, 10, 15 years, you can become a multi-million-dollar equity. You can collect money, you can collect cash flow. Income property, you and I talked about this many times over the years, is a multi-dimensional asset class. It's most attractive. It's the best asset class in the history of mankind. And that is a powerful way. The things you and I discussed, there's no other video or YouTube channel out there or any videos have just presented what we just did. I'm pretty sure, I don't know, Richard, I watch other YouTube channels. People talk about VA loans, house hacking, people talk about FHA, but the way you and I do it, the 3 loan program, the value we provide, you and I are the pioneers and trifecta of house hacking. You as an agent can do all the loans. Me as a mentor coach, in case anybody want to reach out to me, I can coach you. I can help you find the right deals wherever you live, because I'm active duty. I'm 20 years in the U.S. Army retired. I have lived in many military installations. for my lifetime. So I know all those markets. I know markets in Texas, Florida, Virginia, California, and all the different areas. And I help investors buy out-of-state homes for many years in many different markets. So I have a big picture understanding. Property manager in place, need the whole team to help you wherever you want a house hack, duplex or fourplex. If you don't know how to find the right deals, if you don't know how to do the analysis, all those things, we can help. That's all I have to say. Any one last second thought? I know you're very busy right now. You can do other things. Richard, any one last takeaway?
Hopefully, whoever is listening on this that doesn't own a home or has been on the fence gets off the fence, and now's the time, right? Buy real estate and wait. Don't wait to buy real estate.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Richard Advani. This is Seewing Yee. Thanks for watching. Oh, by the way, if you have received any value whatsoever from this video, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Better yet, put your email down below to buy video on the description below, so you can put your email into my newsletter database. You can become a investor insider. You'll receive weekly emails about investment opportunities coming to the email inbox every single day. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. See you on the next video. Thank you, Richard. Bye-bye.